Hi everyone, I'm Celine from Blue Cala Patterns and welcome to video 1 for the Zabelia Triple Zip bag. I have two of the sample bags that I made while designing the pattern. This one is the first one, this one is the second one, so there might be some very tiny differences, but nothing major. I want to go over both of these bags because you have quite a few choices to make in terms of the materials you'd like to use to make your bag. So the first thing I will do is actually go over the different parts of the bag, and then we'll talk about the material choices that you need to make. So this bag here has an all cork exterior, and I use waterproof canvas for the lining. Now I know this is a pretty popular choice for lining material now because you don't need to interface it. However, you can use fabric if you like, so I'll go over the differences between the two. So to go over the parts, you have your main closure here, a main zippered closure, and the zipper does have like a tail, which is tucked inside the bag, and the connectors are along the top edge of the bag. I'm not a huge fan of the connectors that come out of the side because they kind of look weird when you're carrying the bag. So I did something a little different here, and they're coming out the top. On the front of the bag, I have one zippered pocket here, and then a second sort of hidden zippered pocket just below that first one. This is a smaller pocket, obviously, because there's not as much room. And then on the back, you have a slip pocket with a magnetic snap closure. So this is a pocket that goes pretty much all the way to the bottom. And then inside the bag, you have one zippered pocket and two slip pockets. Now, this bag here, for this one here, I used a combination of cotton canvas plus some vinyl. And I used an SX linen fabric or, a cotton fabric for the lining. So the main differences between the two is that this one requires a whole lot less interfacing than this one does. So this one here, if you'll notice, I used even the waterproof canvas for the pocket linings. The only thing I didn't use the waterproof canvas for was the slip pocket piece because I like there to be a little bit of contrast between my slip pockets and the main lining of the bag. So for this bag, I needed to cut a lot of interfacing pieces because you'll see that even the lining of my pockets is in a cotton fabric. So for this bag, I had to cut fusible woven interfacing pieces, matching pieces, for every piece that was made out of fabric. For this bag, I didn't use any fusible woven interfacing at all. The only thing where I used that was for my zipper facing. So you'll see here I used a cotton fabric. So there I did use a facing piece. Sorry, I did use a cotton facing piece. And then for my interior zipper pocket, I still used the waterproof canvas, so I didn't need interfacing there. And then this one here, I also used the waterproof canvas, so I did not need to interface that piece. So I only needed to use a piece of fusible woven interfacing for this exterior zipper pocket facing piece and the two slip pockets. That's it. The rest was all waterproof canvas and cork, and they did not need to be interfaced at all. Now, both versions of the bag, whether you decide to do it this way or this way, they do also have a piece of sew-in Peltex on the bottom just to give the bottom a little bit of structure. Now this bag here, because I wasn't using waterproof canvas for the lining, I did put a piece of heavyweight woven interfacing just along these two top band pieces, not on the lining pieces, just these two exterior vinyl pieces. The bag uses 1-inch wide webbing for the crossbody strap, I've been using that for most of my most recent patterns. It's just a really fast way to create a crossbody strap. So now I'm going to go through the supplies and notions that you're going to need. Now in the pattern, aside from the exterior and the lining fabric and the interfacing, there's actually quite a few notions that you're going to need. Now, one important note for your exterior lining and interfacing, these quantities are really going to vary quite a lot for this pattern depending on what you choose to use for your exterior fabric, which I just went over in the 2 sample bags that I showed you. So, for example, if you're using waterproof canvas for your lining fabric, then obviously the amount of fusible woven interfacing is going to go down significantly. If you're using a vinyl or cork for your exterior, you're not going to need any fusible fleece at all. So decide first on what you're going to use for your exterior and your lining, and then you'll know how much of the interfacing you're going to need. So the only thing that you're going to need, no matter what you select for your exterior and lining, is the firm sew-in stabilizer that we need for the bottom of the bag. All the others, they're going to vary depending on what you choose for your fabric. Now, notions and supplies. The bag does have quite a few zippers. If you'll notice, there is the main closure at the top, this zipper pocket, and then the 4th zipper pocket inside the bag. So that's a total of 4 zippers. I am using zipper tape for this pattern. And you will need one 9.5-inch long zipper for the hidden zipper pocket at the front. And you only need one pull on it. So that's this zipper here, 9.5 inches long. For the main closure, you're going to need a 14-inch zipper tape with a single pull. And then for this pocket and the interior zipper pocket, they are sewn exactly the same dimensions. So you're going to need an 11.5-inch zipper tape with a single pull for those 2 zippers. So if you're using a different color for the inside and the outside zippers, then you'll want to keep track of those. Then in terms of hardware, you're going to need 2 3/4-inch D-rings, 2 1-inch swivel hooks, 1 1-inch rectangle slide, and you can use either a 14 or an 18 millimeter magnetic snap, and that's just to keep this back slip pocket closed. 1 metal zipper end. I don't think I showed you that, but there's one inside the bag. Now, I like to tuck my tail in, but you are absolutely fine to leave it out of the bag as well. That's just a personal preference thing. And then you're going to need your 1-inch webbing for your crossbody strap. Oh, sorry, here's my metal zipper end here. Just a little cap with a screw. For the webbing, the 1-inch webbing, I usually use about 54-inch length, and I say this in all my videos, the best thing to do, because you're adding that last, you should you should figure out the length by carrying the bag and figuring out how you like to carry. If you're carrying it over a thick jacket or whatever, you should really just try it on. You can just use clips to hold the webbing temporarily until you figure out the length that you want. But if you're not sure, the default length that I use is 54 inches long, keeping in mind that parts of it will be folded over when we sew it. So there's a bit, it's folded over in this section here, and then it's folded over here in this section. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, of course, before you start anything, you should read through the entire pattern. And then you should print out your pattern pieces. So it's important to print out the pattern pieces using Adobe Reader, and it's formatted for 8.5 by 11 size paper. But if you're using think it's called A4, whatever. Just print at actual size and it will print out fine on your paper. Once you have them printed out, you should cut them out. There's only one pattern piece, and this is probably confusing right now, but I'll explain this. There's only one pattern piece that needs to be taped together, and that is the zipper facing piece. You'll notice there's matching symbols here, so you just line up the center lines, don't overlap, and tape those two pieces together. Now, I do not like cutting out on the fold, so that is why it looks like I have much larger pattern pieces than what you see in the pattern itself. And so what I like to do is print out 2 copies of every cut on the fold pattern piece. And then what I just do is I tape them together at the fold line at the center. Okay, and then I don't have to cut anything on the fold. The reason why I do this is because not everyone likes to print out so much and use up so much paper. So if you like to not print out so many pages, you can just cut on the fold. It's going to work fine. If you're like me and you don't like cutting on the fold, then just print out 2 copies of all of them and tape them together at the fold line. On page 3 of the pattern, I've given you photographs and I've shown you with arrows what every part is called on the bag. Then on page 4, I have given you a cutting chart. That's just to help you make sure that you've cut out all of the different pieces that you're going to need. You can just use a pencil and check them off as you're going through and cutting. Now, this is going to be different for you if you're choosing to use, like I did with this bag, an all cork or all vinyl exterior and waterproof canvas. You can basically eliminate the entire fusible woven interfacing column, and you can get rid of the last fusible fleece, Decovil Light, or heavyweight woven, whatever you have on hand. You can get rid of that. The only thing you're going to need is the Peltex. The reason why you don't need any interfacing really is because I do find that here I just use cork, but the combination of the cork and the waterproof canvas together just provides enough. Like the bag is sturdy enough, it doesn't really need any interfacing. Also, don't forget that all of the pocket linings here also give a lot of structure to the exterior of the bag. So really no interfacing is needed. If you choose to do this, it really speeds up the entire construction of the bag. So I'm going to go through the cutting chart with you and show you all the various pieces. Now, because in this video I am going to be using a fabric exterior except for the top band, so I'm really doing the same thing as this bag here because, just in case some aren't entirely comfortable using waterproof canvas and a cork or a vinyl exterior, I wanted to show you how to do it this way. So I'm going to try to go in order of the parts that are listed in the cutting chart, and the first one is the main body. Now for the main body, you're only going to be cutting out one exterior fabric, and that is for this the back of the bag. And then you're going to be cutting 2 lining fabric, so this piece and this piece. And then only if you're using fabric, like I'm going to be using, so this is going to be my lining fabric here. So I've also cut out 3 fusible woven interfacing. And the reason why you need 3 is because these 3 pieces that I just showed you, they will all need fusible woven interfacing. So these are the 2 lining pieces. They're 2 matching fusible woven interfacing. This is my exterior fabric. It will be at the back of my bag. And this exterior piece needs a matching piece of fusible woven interfacing and a matching piece of fusible fleece. So for the main body exterior piece, you're first going to fuse the fusible woven interfacing to the wrong side. And then before you fuse the fusible fleece, so you do need fleece to go on top of this, we need to cut out the opening for the exterior slip pocket here. So we don't want any fleece in that area because when we try to sew on the facing, it will become too bulky. So what we're going to do is you're going to cut out this zipper pocket opening on the pattern piece, and then you're going to lay it on top of your fusible fleece, and you're going to cut out the fleece in that area. And then you're going to fuse it to the wrong side of the main body exterior fabric piece. So for the top band, I have my two contrast fabric pieces. So that's these two. They'll be on the bag's exterior. And then I have my two lining pieces. They'll be on the inside. These two, because they're fabric, they have matching fusible woven interfacing. And then for these, because I'm using fabric for the body, I do want to give the top band a little bit more structure. And then I'm going to be using a heavyweight fusible woven interfacing. But before I fuse it to the wrong side, I am going to be cutting away the seam allowance. And then I'm going to use a pressing cloth and fuse it to the wrong side centered. Now for the front body upper, you are going to need one exterior fabric. So the front body upper is this piece right here, and we're going to be installing the front zipper pocket in there. So you're going to need one exterior fabric, one fusible woven interfacing, and then the same thing that we did for the main body exterior piece. Remember, we did a cutout here out of the fusible fleece. You're going to do the same thing for the front body upper. So you're going to cut this area away along the dash line on the pattern piece, lay that over top, use this as a guide, and cut away the fleece on this area only. And then once your woven interfacing is fused to the wrong side, you're going to fuse this over top. Now, before we continue, I just want to mention one important thing, and that is if you're worried about bulk in your seams, you should trim away the seam allowance on all of your fusible fleece pieces before you fuse them to the wrong side. I don't really usually worry about that because my machine can handle pretty thick layers, but if you're not sure about your machine, you should make sure to trim away that seam allowance from all of your fleece. Okay, so the next is the front body lower. This is what it looks like, and you'll note on it it has this zipper fold line, and I'll explain to you why you need that. So that is this piece right here. So you'll notice it kind of angles in. So this zipper fold line, that's this folded top edge here, okay? So you're going to cut out one exterior fabric and a matching piece of fusible woven interfacing. Now you also need fusible fleece, but you are going to fold the pattern piece at that zipper fold line, like this, and you use this shape now to cut out your fusible fleece, and then you'll be fusing that to the wrong side here on top of the fusible woven interfacing, but you line it at the bottom here. So there is no fusible fleece here. If we kept the fusible fleece in this part, it would become way too bulky here. It'd be difficult to have a nice fold here at the top edge. Next is the hidden zipper pocket. So that has dimensions if you prefer to cut 2 dimensions. It's 13.5 by 8 inches. And for that, it's just a simple piece of lining fabric and fusible woven interfacing fused to the wrong side. And I'll show you where that is in the bag. It is this lining piece here. Okay, it's just one piece that ends up being folded. You'll see that during the construction. Next is the pocket lining. So this piece here, we need to cut a lot of pieces from this pattern piece because I tried to make it easy, and we're going to use the same pocket lining pattern piece to cut out most of the linings inside each pocket. So you will have 2 used for this exterior zipper pocket. 2 of them will be used for this back slip pocket, and then another 2 will be used for this interior zipper pocket. So they're all lining fabric except for one. One of them is going to be cut out of exterior fabric, and that's because it is this fabric here, and so it's going to show on the exterior of our bag. If you see here, I use the same fabric for the inside because of course it's going to show. You're going to see a little bit of the fabric, so I really wanted it to match. If you wanted to contrast, that is fine, you can do that as well, but I prefer to have mine match. So I cut out one exterior fabric, so this one here, this is my exterior fabric. And then for the exterior fabric, you're going to have one piece of matching fusible woven interfacing, and then one piece of fusible fleece. And you're probably wondering, why do we need a piece of fusible fleece? It's because one reason is that we're going to install the magnetic snap, and I want it to be more structured. And I also made the mistake when I made this first sample, I didn't put the fusible fleece, and I found it didn't look nice. It needed more structure. So that's why you're going to put fusible fleece on it if you're using fabric, okay? If you're not using fabric and you're using cork or vinyl, you don't need the fusible fleece. This one doesn't have it, doesn't need it. Okay, and then the rest are going to be cotton fabric with matching fusible woven interfacing. So I think I'm going to be using these two for my interior zipper pocket. This one is going to be used along with my exterior fabric. So this will be used for this back slip pocket. So this metallic fabric will be here, and then the exterior fabric, of course, will be showing here. And then these two cotton pieces with matching fusible woven interfacing will be used for the lining here inside this zipper pocket. Next is the interior slip pocket. You just need two pieces of lining fabric and two pieces of matching fusible woven interfacing, and that's to make this slip pocket inside the bag. Next is the zipper facing. So here's where we're going to be using these. One of them is going to be used for the facing for the interior zipper pocket. So I use the same fabric as my lining. And then the other one is going to be used for this zipper pocket facing. And I am going to be using canvas. So I felt that it was already thick enough. So I didn't add fusible woven interfacing for this one. I'm only going to use it on the lining. However, if you're using quilt weight cotton for your exterior fabric, I would recommend that you also use fusible woven interfacing on yours. Then you're also going to need your bottom firm interfacing piece, which is 9 inches by 2.5 inches. And you can't see it, but it's in here. And that's just to give the bottom of the bag a little bit of structure. Then you're going to need 2 zipper tab pieces. Now, this is a little bit difficult to explain because it's actually not visible in the final bag. So these are cut to measurements. They're 3 inches by 1.5 inch. And I can't show you, but it's sewn on to the end, both ends of the zipper. And then that is sewn into the side seams here. So that is just cotton fabric. Even if you're using an all cork or all vinyl exterior, please use cotton fabric. Otherwise, it's going to get too bulky and it's not even visible in the final bag. So you could actually use, scrap fabric if you like. It really doesn't matter. And then you're going to need your D-ring connectors. So that's these two here, here and here. And those are cut to measurements. They are 1.5 inches wide by 3 inches high. I recommend cutting these parallel to your selvage because there's less stretch in your vinyl that way, or your cork or whatever. So it just makes them a little bit sturdier as connector straps. And then the last thing is your webbing. I discussed that at the beginning when we went over the notions and supplies that you're going to need. So you cut to the length that you will want for your bag. So we just need to go ahead and proceed with interfacing like I just explained to you. And then in the next video, we're going to start the exterior assembly of our bag.